Okay guys, I want to follow up a little bit with that last video about what gravel bike a mountain biker should consider and give you a little bit more perspective from my vantage point. So I've rode over here on my hardtail and it's 7 miles to where I'm at right now and about 500 feet, so it's pretty flat. This stuff right here could easily be done on a gravel bike. It's nothing that requires a mountain bike. It's pretty tame. There are some chunk, and I rode from my house all the way up to the top of Brown on my gravel bike like I intend to do today on my mountain bike. So with that said, let's talk about what you intend to do with your gravel bike. Now, the reason it took me so long to get a gravel bike is because I felt like, well, why would I buy a gravel bike? I would have much more fun on my mountain bike. But then I got to thinking, there are those days or there are those trails that I'm not bombing down them. I'm just riding along a fire road, riding along maybe some access roads, and I'm just going out to explore. Do I need a mountain bike for that? And I've done some of those exploration rides. I rode both my mountain bike and my gravel bike all the way up to Mount Wilson on the Mount Wilson Toll Road Trail, from Pasadena all the way up to the observation deck. And it's a real steep, but it's a access road, and it's not something that requires any type of mountain bike. My gravel bike was fine, and when I came down it, yeah, it would have been nice to be on a mountain bike for the flat bars and stuff like that, and not having the not being beat up so much with a rigid bike with skinnier tires. But I did it on my gravel bike and it wasn't that bad. And that's a little bit extreme because that's 5,000 feet of elevation change that I did that day. So a lot of ascent, a lot of descent. But what about those days when you're riding long, just like when I rode over here right now? I rode 7 miles and only 500 feet. So it was pretty much flat. There was nothing to it. And had I been on a gravel bike like I'd been on the past, it would have been fine with my, especially my 2x, because I could have picked up some bigger gears and picked up the pace. And if I was on a 1x, I would probably just be winding out a lot like I do on my mountain bike. But the biggest difference for me anyway is the fact that I would not have a big knobby tire, all that resistance to push over the pavement. And a gravel bike has these little tiny knobby tires, these little tiny tire, you could even get slicks, and you're pretty much like a road bike remember the cyclocross bikes. They still make them, but I think they've kind of lost their popularity to gravel. But you pretty much have a 700 by 40, or some people go skinnier and like a 700 by 38, and that makes a big difference when you're turning and turning and turning and going a long distance or going up a lot of elevation. So consider that, consider what you can do with your gravel bike. are you going to take it on the same trails as your mountain bike trails? Maybe your trails are mostly blues and greens, and you feel like, well, if I had a gravel bike, I would be fine. I'm just not going to be able to maybe try that drop or do that chunky section, or you're going to avoid a couple sections of the trail or little offshoots of the trail. Maybe that's what is going through your mind. I don't know. So that's one serious consideration, is what you're going to do with your gravel bike. Another thing is how you want to build, or how you want to get a pre-built gravel bike. Do you want it to be a 1x11, a 1x12, a bike that's, you know, for mostly climbing, bike that's for flats? How are you going to build it up? And think about what's in your stable. If your current mountain bike, which I'm assuming it's most likely a 1x11, I mean most likely a 1x12, and has micro spline or XD, I'm assuming that it's a bike that you have that is super boost, or boost I should say. And if you get a gravel bike, your gravel bike will not be boost unless you go out and seek a gravel bike that's boost, and they're out there. So that's something else you should consider. Will you be seeking a bike that you could possibly fit in your fleet, and perhaps pirate some parts back and forth from your gravel bike or to your mountain bike, or vice versa? For instance, your wheels, not the front but the rear wheel. If you have a boost gravel bike, that rear hub on your mountain bike will fit. So let's say you upgrade your wheel set or your hubs on your mountain bike, you can make a second set of wheels on your gravel bike with those same hubs, or with the rear one. You'd have to buy a front. Anyway, I'm going to catch my breath and I'll talk more about this in a minute. Thanks for watching.